MAGA Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, is panicking after MAGA Republicans in the Senate passed by a unanimous consent motion a bill that would just fund TSA agents and not fund ICE and Border Patrol, which is exactly what Democrats had been proposing for some time. And that followed Donald Trump making a social media post saying that via executive order, he would be funding the TSA using funds that were already appropriated to the Department of Homeland Security, thus showing that Donald Trump could have been funding the TSA for many, many weeks now, as we've been saying at the MeidasTouch Network. So the sequence of events is that Donald Trump says that he's gonna fund the TSA via an executive order, which he could have done for a long time. Then around 2 a.m. in the United States Senate, Senator John Kennedy, MAGA Republican from Louisiana, basically adopted the Democratic plan to just fund TSA. Then the MAGA Republicans were going to defer ICE and Border Patrol funding perhaps at a later time during reconciliation proceedings in a few weeks or a few months. Then the Senate left. They left Washington, D.C. I mean, they got in planes and they went home to their districts and said, see you later. So that means the House of Representatives would basically have to pass an identical bill to what the Senate passed, just funding the TSA. And by the way, Donald Trump said he was doing that via executive order. And if there were any changes made to what the Senate passed in the House, the Senate would have to come back. But you see, the problem is the Senate left and they ain't coming back for the next 2 weeks. That's what I talked about in the video I made earlier today. The next time the Senate's going to come back, it's like the second week of April. So we still have this partial government shutdown of DHS. And while TSA is going to now be funded via this executive order, that money is getting pulled from other areas in order to fund TSA. And the MAGA Republicans want to make sure that ICE and Border Patrol get additional funding because they're already well funded. Let's be very clear. They've gotten hundreds of billions of dollars. I want to see ICE and Border Patrol abolished. They don't need any money at all, in my view, but Republicans want to give them more money. Democrats have set the conditions: no masks, must use search warrants, must identify yourself, can't be at polling stations. But the MAGA Republicans don't want any of those conditions. And the MAGA Republicans want to make sure that they have more money to torture and maim and kill and terrorize people here in the United States and expand the concentration camp system that is being built here in the United States. And so ultimately, when this was passed from the Senate to the House said, we are not just going to fund the TSA. We want to make sure the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, and Border Patrol get extra funding so they can do the torture. That's what we want. So we're not going to support you, MAGA Republicans in the Senate. So come back, senators, because we in the House, we're going to do what's called a continuing resolution regarding the previous status quo funding in order to make sure all of DHS is funded. Now, the Democrats have objected to that in the Senate and have threatened the filibuster, and Republicans don't have enough votes to obtain cloture. And so Republicans made a deal with the Democrats not to fund ICE and Border Patrol, but the MAGA Republicans in the House were like, screw that. We can't support that. So we're not just going to fund TSA alone. We want to make sure that ICE can wear masks and have no search warrants and terrorize and torture people. And so the MAGA Republicans in the House have been panicking, MAGA Mike, and they're like, we're going to do a continuing resolution that funds everything. Come back, senators. We're going to force a vote on this. And the senators are like, giving MAGA Mike the middle finger. The MAGA Republican Senate, good luck. See you later. I mean, you've got Ted Cruz on a plane. They're all on airplanes. They've all left, by the way. I mean, I'll show you right here. This is a video of MAGA Republican Senator John Thune, the majority leader in the Senate. And Fox interviewed him, State Regime Media, as he was leaving. He's like, see you later. I'm out. Good luck, MAGA Mike. I want you to watch this. Here, play this clip.
How you feeling? Resolved?
What's that?
Are you thinking everything's resolved, working out well? The House is going to do their job?
Well, we'll see. We made some temporary headway, but we got a lot of work to do still.
So after the House of Representatives got word that the Senate passed via a unanimous consent motion the funding just for the TSA, you had MAGA Republicans just flipping out. Like MAGA Republican Mark Harris posted the following: "I am done with Senate Republicans. Their failure to fully fund DHS is not just disappointing, it's a disgrace. They refuse to fund ICE units that target sex traffickers. They refuse to fund Border Patrol agents. And where is the Save America Act? Once again, they have failed the American people. They have made one thing clear: America's safety is not their priority." MAGA Republican Congress member Chip Roy writes, "Why would Senate GOP throw Democrats a political lifeline now to fund TSA that doesn't fund ICE and Border Patrol, and in the process likely get off of Save America Act to go home for Easter recess?" As our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski writes, more proof that Republicans wanted to withhold TSA funding to cause airport chaos for negotiating leverage. Everything they said about airports being a mess over the past 2 weeks is exactly what they wanted. Let's just think logically together. If Donald Trump just signed an executive order funding TSA, which he did late last night and he signed it today, he could have done that weeks ago, right? This whole mess was manufactured by Republicans. And if the Senate Republicans were willing to just fund TSA alone, which they were able to do, why couldn't they do that weeks ago? Democrats kept on introducing that, right? I'm just speaking logically. I'm not speaking as a partisan, right? And now the MAGA Republicans in the House can fund TSA. And they're saying, nope, we need to give extra money to ICE and Border Patrol. Why? Just fund TSA now, and then you can have the debate and the discussion on ICE and Border Patrol. But get TSA funded in a meaningful and material way. That's all. And meanwhile, Democrats in the Senate said, look, under no circumstance will we support any 60-day continuing resolution that the House passes. That's dead on arrival in the Senate. So if you go and pass this in the House, even though all the senators gone, when you send this back to us in the Senate, we ain't passing that at all. So good luck. See you later. So with all of that as background, MAGA Mike just held a press conference. And during the press conference, MAGA Mike acted like Democrats were in the majority of the Senate and the House, when Republicans control the majority in the Senate and Republicans control the majority in the House. And what's happening now, Republican House members and MAGA Mike are panicking and attacking Republican Senate members. But somehow MAGA Mike turns this into an attack on Democrats. The MAGA Republicans in the Senate were the ones who did the unanimous consent motion that allowed TSA to get funded. You're attacking them. The Democrats supported it. Sure, Democrats want TSA to be funded. But wake up, MAGA Mike. So here is MAGA Mike. He's like, this was unconscionable that the Democrats would wait until 3 a.m. to do this gambit. John Kennedy, you don't get much more MAGA Republican than that from Louisiana. Watch MAGA Mike here. Play this clip.
We're not doing that. And it is unconscionable to me that the Democrats would force some sort of negotiation at 3 o'clock in the morning and try to hoist this upon the American people and then get on their jets and go home for their holiday and pretend and think that we're going to go along with that. So we're going to do something different. We're going to do the responsible thing. Republicans are going to continue to govern and do the right thing morally, legally, and politically. We are going to take care of those who take care of us. The employees in the Department of Homeland Security have gone without funding and without paychecks for 42 days. It's the second longest shutdown in U.S. history.
More over here from MAGA Mike. And as Alex Cole says, according to MAGA Mike Johnson, you would think Democrats control both houses in Congress. Republicans can't govern for SHI, and he uses the curse word. Watch what MAGA Mike says over here when a reporter says, you and John Thune are not on the same page, it seems. Here, play this clip.
Democrats will continue to play politics.
Mr. Speaker,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You and John Thune are not on the same page. You came out and criticized Democrats. He was the engineer behind this. Why are you guys not on the same page? And are you not extending the shutdown? If you were to accept what the Senate had passed, this could end tonight and the TSA lines would shrink.
I wouldn't call John Thune the engineer of this. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate have forced this upon the Senate. I have to protect the House. Let me answer the question, Chad. I have to protect the House. And I have to protect the American people. That's our responsibility. Our colleagues on this side understand this is not a game. We are not playing their games. These people want open borders and they want criminal, illegal aliens in the country. They do not want to enforce the law. They want to literally defund. You just read it in the bill here. They want to give $0 to enforcing federal immigration laws and keeping the border secure. That was the biggest issue in the election of 2024, the wide open border that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris hoisted upon the country. And 20 million, by some estimates, 20 million dangerous, criminal, illegal aliens included in that number came over the border. We have terrorists in our country. We have obviously murderers. They're putting it on display. And then these big blue cities that have sanctuary city policies, they're releasing these people onto the streets. They released them over the border when they came over under the Biden years. And that is the turmoil that we're facing right now, the very serious threats to the homeland and everybody. It's not just long lines at the airport. It is the danger and safety of everyone. We'll talk more after this is passed. We'll get it done.
Okay, why are you attacking the Democrats? Everything's Democrat, 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 Democrat. Just fund the TSA. Let people have normal experiences in the airport. Stop breaking every damn thing, you idiots. For real. Just let people live their lives and be normal. Stop behaving like this, you little weasel. More from MAGA Mike right here. He's like, the Republicans are not going to be a party to this. You're quite literally the party to this. You're the majority, you weasel. Here, play this clip.
And this has to stop. The Republicans are not going to be a party to this. They have taken hostage the funding processes of government so that they can impose their radical agenda on the American people, and we can't have any part of it. This gambit that was done last night is a joke. I'm quite convinced that it can't be that every Senate Republican read the language of this bill. And I'm going to just read you one excerpt of it because it's pretty alarming and it says everything that you need to know in Section 4. This is on page 2 of the bill. This is an actual copy of the bill, that excerpt. It says, quote, the contents printed under the headings of this bill, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Border Security Operations, under the heading of U.S. Customs and Border Patrol and Protection, shall have no force or effect for purposes of this act, and amounts specified in the final bill under the subheading Border Security Operations and under the heading U.S. Customs and Border Protection and under the headings of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in the Department of Homeland Security shall be zero. We're not doing that. And it is unconscionable to me that the Democrats would force some sort of negotiation at 3 o'clock in the morning and try to hoist this upon the American people and then get on their jets and go home for their holiday.
More from MAGA Mike Johnson right here. A reporter says, so has the president endorsed your plan? And MAGA Mike Johnson's like, I spoke to him moments ago. He knows exactly what we're doing. Here, let's play this clip.
More after this is passed. We'll get it done.
Has the president endorsed this plan? Has the president endorsed this plan, Mr. Speaker? Has the president?
I spoke to the president a few moments ago. He understands exactly what we're doing and why, and he supports it. Yes.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you. The American people.
Now we're hearing Donald Trump's reaction. Donald Trump is telling state regime media, which calls itself Fox, in a call that the Senate bill that passed in the overnight hours to fund all of DHS, except CBP and ICE, wasn't appropriate. Donald Trump told Fox, well, it wasn't good. It wasn't appropriate. Now what they should do is they should terminate the filibuster and just vote. But you have 3 or 4 Republicans in there that are not doing the right thing. You can't have a bill that's not going to fund, in my opinion. You can't have a bill that's not going to fund ICE. You can't have a bill that's not going to fund any form of law enforcement, of which ICE is a big form, and so is Border Patrol. Then Donald Trump ran to social media and wrote, the Republicans should terminate the filibuster and vote. Haven't they had enough of this nonsense from the radical left lunatics that are looking to destroy our country? Make America great again, Donald J. Trump. And so I don't want you to be confused here. To be clear, based on Donald Trump's executive order, the TSA agents should be funded, but he should have signed that order weeks ago. Still, Donald Trump's executive order is likely unlawful because he doesn't have the power of the purse. People probably won't challenge it because we want TSA agents to get their funds, to get paid, right? So no one's going to challenge it, even though he had the money. And what the process that should happen is the Senate and the House pass a bill. Donald Trump signs it into law. But now the Senate's passed basically what Trump signed. They said, let's fund the TSA. The House is rejecting it, right? So there's no way to have that law. The House is telling the Senate, come back. The Senate's saying, we ain't coming back. And then the Democrats in the Senate are saying, even if you send it back, we have enough votes for a filibuster. So Donald Trump's saying, let's stop the filibuster and let's talk about genital mutilation and let's bully transgender people, because that's where Donald Trump is reducing every argument to bully transgender people, right? That's the lay of the land, folks. So hopefully that explains it for you. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And while you're at it, have you subscribed to Scott McFarlane's YouTube channel at Scott McFarlane News? Scott McFarlane's YouTube channel already has 120,000 plus subscribers in just 3 days since joining the MeidasTouch network. How incredible is that? Subscribe to his YouTube channel and tell him in the comments that Ben says hello. And hit subscribe here, and let's get to 7 million subscribers on the MeidasTouch channel.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.